have been feeling the call of God on my life to start coming on and doing videos about prophetic dreams that I have. I've dreamt for a lot of years since I was young, and they've often just helped me in the situation that I found myself in at the time in life and helped me move forward. And it's been a really impacting way that the Lord has spoken to me. And since 2020, I have been getting quite an influx of dreams, and they've been coming at a rate I've never experienced before. And I've been learning very quickly how to interpret them as best as I can, and I will continue to keep learning. But yeah, so I've felt the Lord call me to start a YouTube channel where I will be talking about those words through the prophetic dreams that He's given me. And I have been in prayer about it, trying to make sure I knew what to say first, how to find the right scriptures that would go with it, and I believe I have. But it's always important to really test the spirits for yourself. There's a lot of information on the internet that's like some's false and some is true, and it's like it really takes a lot of intimacy with God and prayer in order to discern those things. And discernment is key to the word that I am going to give today, based on a dream that I had on February 15th of this year. So I'll get into the dream. I dreamt I was asleep in an apartment. The building was white and very ornate looking. It was really beautiful, and I was in the penthouse. I was in the very top, and there was a really bad storm outside the building, but I was asleep through it. And somebody who was there with me was named Courtney. She was in another room sleeping, and she ran in and woke me up, and she was like, "PJ, get up. The building is shaking so bad. The storm's like way worse than we ever thought, and it's gonna collapse. The building's gonna collapse." And she was like, "I'm getting out of here." And so I woke up and I saw what she saw, and everything just looked crazy. Like the building was going. I was like, oh my God, freaking out. And my husband, who was asleep next to me, his name's Zach. He woke up and he was like, "No, PJ, wait a minute. Look, it's not as bad as she says." And when I looked after he said that, I saw the shaking happening, but everything wasn't falling apart. Like the building was staying intact. It was swaying a little bit, but everything was okay. And I was like, "Oh, you're right. Like, it's not as bad." So I felt good about that because I didn't really want to leave the building. And then that was the end of the dream. And so as I've been praying about it, I have a few details and kind of trying to figure out now how to explain this. So the apartment is white. It was a white building, so it represents a holy, pure, innocent, a righteous life. So it's a building, and homes and things like that typically will represent your life. And so this was, I was in my bedroom, which has an intimate feel to it, and I was sleeping next to my husband. The storm that was happening outside, I believe, represents a storm that is going to be coming. We've already pretty much been in a shaking time since 2020. We've all been feeling that, and it's been just unbelievable. And in my spirit, I feel like this will continue happening, that the shaking is not over with 2020, but God has some guidance through my dream. He had it for me, and I feel like it's for other people. So Courtney, when I Googled it, means short nose. So basically, short nose, like you can't see past the end of your nose. So she had a little discernment. She couldn't really tell what was happening beyond beyond fear, beyond panic. So what was happening outside, she had no discernment for. So it caused her to panic and leave what was actually a place of safety. My bedroom is an intimate place where I spend with the Lord. And I was resting, and that was a much better place to be, and a state of being, while this shaking was happening outside. And my husband is obviously representative of my husband, but he is symbolic for Christ, because Christ is the bridegroom, and we are the bride. So So it was as if Jesus is telling us, it's not as bad as she is saying. Stay here. Stay in this safe place, and everything will be okay. And I believe that this is. We were also in the penthouse, so it has a lot to do with a higher, being above sort of the things that are happening. You're seated in heavenly places. Your thoughts are on things above, so you're in a high place. So I think God is trying to say, as these things are happening, as they begin to happen and more shaking continues, that the safety is in discernment, to know the times and seasons that we're in, and to have discernment, to know what He's saying. We can't listen to somebody just because their emotions are very strong and passionate, because when she spoke, I started to see the shaking as she saw it. But when my husband spoke, I saw the shaking that wasn't as bad, because he was like, no, it's not as bad. So it switched my vision, my interpretation of the storm itself, and whether or not I was safe. So this is what I feel like God is saying to us today, is to stay close to Him, intimate. That's how we'll be able to discern the times. Being in our Word, read the Bible, listen to worship music. And I do have a couple of scriptures that I feel like go along really well with this. Romans 12:2 from the Passion Translation is about renewing our minds. It says, stop imitating the ideals and opinions of the culture around you. Be inwardly transformed by the Holy Spirit through a total reformation of how you think. This will empower you to discern God's will as you live a beautiful life, satisfying and perfect in His eyes. We can still have a good life no matter what is happening around us. And this discernment, this empowerment from the Lord, from being close with Him, will help us to discern God's will, and if we need to move, if we need to stay, and what we need to do, what's our next next path to take, or plan, which is going to be important. Being close with God is going to be very important. It's going to be vital. And then so I also wanted to do Luke 12:54 through 56, which says, it's about interpreting the times. He said to the crowd, Jesus, when you see a cloud rising in the west, immediately you say, it's going to rain, and it does. And when the south wind blows, you say, it's going to be hot, and it is. Hypocrites, you know how to interpret the appearance of the earth and sky. How is it that you don't know how to interpret the present time? We've got to be aware of the time we're in with God. I don't know how much time we have with the system of the world as it stands. But the shaking, we have to be in our Bible. We have to know where we are in the present time in history. I personally believe Jesus will come back soon. I don't know when. I could never tell you. No one could. And that's not biblical to say. But if we're going to survive inwardly and mentally through the difficulties that come, it has to begin with an intimacy with Him and a close relationship with Him. So, yeah, that's the dream, guys. And I wanted to just, just say that I'm beginning this now. I'll be back to give more dreams and interpretations as I feel the Lord's prompting and leading. But thank you so much for listening, and God bless you.